My name is Michael Hensley. I teach 9th grade English at Berryville High School, and my topic is admit and exit slips. To begin, let me be proactive in clarifying any potential confusion. I'll be saying admit exit slips, and that will be shown on the presentation with a slash in between the words admit and exit. These are two separate things, however, they're basically the same thing and achieve similar goals. The biggest difference is that admit slips are used at the beginning of class and exit slips at the end. Let's start with what admit-exit slips are. Students will write their responses to a prompt. This strategy is informal and should focus on content more than grammar, punctuation, or spelling. The prompts will ask students to respond in some way to what is being studied. For example, students might be asked to explain what they've learned. This helps them clarify their thinking and it demonstrates what they understand. Perhaps students summarize the day's lesson or explain a particular concept. Students might also be asked to raise questions or bring up topics that still confuse them. Raising questions tells us what we need to keep working on in order to master a concept. This may be as simple as having students discuss what is confusing them or what problems they had. And students might be asked to personally respond to the content. Personal responses help students build connections with the material and their lives. Admit-exit slips can be used in several ways, but ultimately they are intended to engage students with the content and encourage them to make connections in their learning. There are two major ways that I see admit-exit slips being used today, and in most regard these two ways overlap. First of all, admit-exit slips can be used as formative assessment. Formative assessment is meant to provide feedback in order to guide instruction. To be clear, this type of assessment is not formal or even graded for correctness. The information I get from these slips helps me make decisions in the best interest of my students. Students are able to express what they know, what they don't know, what they're confused about, and what they want or need to learn. All of this information is vital in informing my instructional decisions. Admit-exit slips are also important in writing to learn. Writing to learn tasks are short, informal writings that help students explore ideas and clarify their thinking. This type of writing is informal and not intended to be some big summative assessment. The goal is for students to learn through the process of writing. I frequently use admit slips, exit slips in my classroom because I recognize what powerful tools they are to student learning. I like to use admit slips at the beginning of class after we have covered something or students have been assigned a reading passage. This encourages student reading because it is difficult to respond to my prompts if they have not read. And most importantly, it activates student thinking in order to frame class discussion. I use exit slips to check student understanding after they've learned something new. Students either explain the content or they raise questions, which shows me how much they know or how much I still need to cover or go over.